The Curse of La Llorona is wasted potential. I went to the theaters more times in 2019 than any other year in my life. Heavy hitters were released such as Parasite, Ready or Not, and Doctor Sleep. Two really underrated gems like, I love the movie Hans, Annabelle Comes Home, and Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, don't get me wrong, 2019 did have some stinkers, but one movie stands tall and above the rest, The Curse of La Llorona. And usually, I don't watch bad movies that come out in theaters, as generally I have a good eye for trash movies, and why would I want to spend $15 on an experience I just won't enjoy? Yeah, I made the fatal mistake believing that The Curse of La Llorona was going to be at least decent. This movie is really frustrating because the director, Marco Chavez, is capable and has an eye for good visuals. I'm familiar with his work now that he has directed two more of the Conjuring movies, but he is obviously a case of all style, no substance. He's like the Zack Snyder of horror. Well, actually, to be more specific, he's like the Michael Bay of horror because the movie looks really pretty. The acting is whatever, and the scares are whatever. All these elements don't make me angry. What makes me angry is the script. So many wrong ideas were made before the pen ever hit paper. I have so many questions for the writer of this film. How? How do you go so wrong with what is basically a layup of an urban legend? Writing a movie based on La Llorona, a prominent Mexican folklore that has been scaring children for the past 40 years, seems like an easy pickings if you ask me. It's like every choice the writer made in the outline was somehow the wrong one. He was the Stephen A. Smith to go on 0 for 6 when guessing the NBA championship winners 6 years in a row. How do you get a 50-50 guess wrong 6 times in a row? The chances of that happening is 1.5%. So just like Stephen A. Smith, I ask you, Mickey Daughtry, Tobias Lyconis, how did you manage to get everything wrong about what makes the folktale of La Llorona scary? Let's go down the list of mistakes this movie made, not just on the entirety of the film, but also on a conceptual level way before the actual script was written. The first mistake, and probably the worst one of the bunch, this movie is set in Los Angeles. The Mexican folklore of La Llorona, it's set in America. Let's take a moment of silence for that. Okay, that's long enough. What possesses you to set the story in America? I don't know how ghosts work, but I'm pretty sure they don't travel across the country to haunt other people. And I don't care what excuse you make, as it makes no sense no matter how you spin it. It's not hard to pinpoint where the story should be told. And if you're failing at this, then I don't know what you're doing with this movie in the first place. I'm sure it's an intentional decision, and that's what really makes me angry. They intentionally decided to dismiss her whole point of origin and all that comes with it. I see it as being lazy and not wanting to put in the hard work to make a good Llorona movie. The potential is astronomical with this property, and it was squandered from the get-go. The second mistake this movie made was having it be connected to any way to the Conjuring universe, which it is. Now, what I'm saying right now is all speculation, but I swear this is how it all went down with the writers and the heads of the studios. When I found out this movie had the priest from Annabelle as a direct connection, it clicked in my head that this movie was never meant to be a good movie. All the signs were there from the jump, but this was a sign that the Curse of Llorona never stood a chance. Also, Tuco mentions he's going to give the necklace to the Warrens who keep it somewhere safe. I just think that the writers were told to connect this movie to the Conjuring universe, and to them, that was the green light to go for retard. Then all the dominoes fell into place. Set in the 1970s America, have her background only be flashbacks, have Tuco from Breaking Bad as the priest, and limit the scares to jump scares. You see what I'm saying about Michael Chavez being the Zack Snyder of horror? And the Michael Bay of horror, that's like the equivalent of Zack Snyder's slow motion and Michael Bay's explosions. He just thinks it's okay. Let's have this cool, scary looking ghost. Great job by the makeup department. Definitely. Like, she actually looks genuinely scary. Consistently ruin the tension with the jump scares. I mean, some scenes have great buildups and some semblance of suspense, but they're delegated to this weak ass form of horror because this movie is meant to reach the farthest of audiences. I don't get it. I understand it's all about money, but if you're gonna think about the money, don't have a movie about La Llorona and fill it with nothing but American culture just to cater to most people, all the while sacrificing authenticity and being disingenuous to a whole group of people. I know this movie is just a shitty horror movie in a landscape filled with tons of shitty horror movies, but I take this one seriously, not only because I'm Mexican and I would love to see what this movie would have been like if it handled with care and honestly, but because it's a waste of potential and resources that could have gone to someone who cares about the source material, I am actually angry. If this movie was done right and with love, I don't care who is behind it, whether it's Mexican, white, black, Asian. It doesn't matter to me. Just don't make a shitty movie. That's all I ask for. Put this property to the right hands, and I guarantee you, even with some semblance of love, we get a good, proper Llorona movie. They made this movie bearable to watch, and like I said, this movie looks very pretty. The Llorona herself looks very scary, but other than that, I don't have much to say that's positive, as the story itself is weak. The story goes that the Llorona haunts a social worker, Velma, after she doomed these kids after refusing to listen to the mother. La Llorona then starts haunting her kids, and this leads Velma to search for help in the form of a wild priest. All this to say that the movie is very predictable, as we all know what kind of priest this is going to be: a drunk, excommunicated type of priest that likes to break the rules. The writing let this movie down. Anyways, that's it for me. Peace out.